And welcome to our next edition of Wildcat Connect. I will be your host for today. I am Mason Wade, the Associate Dean of Student Affairs here at St. John's College Junior College. My co-host is the lovely Miss Lynette Sabito, and Miss Sabito is a lecturer from the Social Science Department. And today we are joined on the couch by none other than Senator Janelle Chanona, who is also the Vice President of Oceana. And Oceana is the largest international advocacy organization focused on ocean conservation. And we also have Mr. Cleon Coleman.
Yes.
And Mr. Coleman is the Senior Field Representative for Central Belize. So welcome, Senator Chanona. Welcome, Mr. Coleman.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, I think today's conversation is a little bit interesting because we're trying to bridge a division that typically we have between the social sciences versus the natural sciences. And I think for today's conversation, we want to talk a little bit about Laudato Si. Laudato Si was one of those letters written by Pope Francis that calls our attention to taking care of our common home, and with the work that Oceana has been doing, not just internationally, but regionally and home as well, I feel that this is one of those great opportunities where we can not just allow our students, but any audience, the audience in general, to see how we're able to see the connection between taking care of our home, our physical environment, the air that we breathe, and also being socially responsible. Especially in present day, we have so many responsibilities that we forget about it, right? We have moral responsibilities, social responsibilities, civic responsibilities, and so we want to talk a little bit more about the work Oceana has been doing and how can that be related to that social responsibility, that it's not two opposing things, it's like coming together. And we spoke a little bit about the work right now that Mr. Cleon is doing and the initiative, and involving the community. So want to start off the conversation by, helping us see the connect between that natural environment and our social responsibility.
Great. So I could start off and then I'll pass over to Cleon, but bear with me. Mm-hmm. Take a breath. Out. Mm-hmm. Take another breath. That second breath is because of our ocean. Our world is 70% water, which always makes me ask, why is it Earth? Because we are water, right? But it's also that as a people, Belizeans, we have 60% of our people that live and depend daily on coastal and marine ecosystems. So I have to say, when people try to, as you say, separate and think that we're apart somehow from our environment, I'm really offended because we are such a part of the environment. The air we breathe, the quality of our air, the food we eat. The sea is one of the last places you can go to for food that has not been tampered with, no preservatives, no GMO. We'll talk about plastics later, but it's really one of the last places you can get the best protein. And we have documented that if we manage those resources meaningfully and through best practices, we can feed 1 billion, with a B, people a day, fresh, protein-based meal. And you look at what nutrition is. So it's really important we start there, because as a big picture, then you look at, well, where do I factor into this? And I love what I love about Laudato Si is, as a practicing Catholic, we're called upon to see God in everything, everywhere. I'm a twin, so I have a personal relationship with this idea of being interconnected and interdependent. There are things that I experience as a twin with my sister that I don't experience with anybody else. But seeing ourselves as a part of this ecosystem, as a functionary in it, and knowing that God calls upon us to reconcile, we are not just here for dominion. We're also called upon to respect that there is a order and there's a justness and there's a responsibility for managing the created world, because the created world is taking care of us. It's making our existence possible. That's why when people talk about the climate crisis being existential, it's existential to human beings. If we don't have air to breathe and food to eat, and we can't go outside without being burned either by acid rain or broiling sun, we need what nature is doing to live. So we talk all the time about, if we take care of nature, nature can always take care of us. And we have made a point, and we've been here since 2009, of saying, let's make sure Belizeans know all these amazing goods and services that our natural ecosystems are providing, so that they love those ecosystems, and therefore they want to protect it, because they can see in protecting it, they're protecting themselves, their way of life, their food, their identity as Belizean. We quarrel for a reef, right? You ask any Belizean, what's the thing about Belize? We have the second longest barrier reef in the world. We own that. So it's really important that we look at how introducing it and embracing it and giving people actions that they can do, because we can't solve everything, but every one of us doing a little bit where we are adds up collectively, because we're so interconnected to each other, to making big differences.
Yeah. Awesome. I just want to add, whenever we do presentations to the younger generation, we always let them know that we don't want we reach a point where you guys can only see the barrier reef or the manatee on a picture. Most of us, not all of us, but most of us get the opportunity to snorkel the barrier reef, or to maybe see a manatee in person or a dolphin in person. That's the same experience we want for our generations, future generations, to have the ability to do. If we do not know what is out there, then it's hard for us to protect it. So my job as the outreach person for Oceana is to let people understand, why these things are important. Tourism is very important. The moment we destroy our reef, the species that inhabit these areas, we're in big trouble. The fishers, the people in the tourism, we as well that eat the seafood products every day, we are in trouble. So it's very important that we bridge that gap when it comes to social justice and the marine environment, and the environment on a whole, because whenever we damage it, we are the ones who will feel the effects of those damage when it comes to these areas. So we have to protect it. We speak it every day to students, to wave makers, to the business community, to anybody we speak to. This is the reason why we protect our resources. We want generations after generations, and the people who wants to experience our countries, to have the ability to experience everything that Belize has to offer.
Definitely.
Yes.
And talking about, you speak this to the wave makers. I know you're the moderator also for our club here, Oceana Wave Makers. Thank you so much for that.
No problem.
One of the things we try to also do here is to integrate, this data see even into our sports. Like for our house cup games, we have 4 houses, and each house has a color. And in addition to that, each house also has an animal attached to them, and all those animals can be found on our campus. Okay. Like for example, Lap House is the house of the raccoon, Zingle the house of the crocodile, Thompson the house of the blue heron, and then there's...
You're forgetting the important one.
Weber.
Yes.
Because the ones that always lose. The host of the iguana.
The shade.
Yeah, so I think it's important, when we teach our students, we always teach them the 3 R's: recycle,
reduce, reuse.
Exactly, but also how we can incorporate that into other aspects, and something as simple as sports. So I think that's also very important.
It's a living element that we have to continue to cultivate and encourage that type of behavior. And I wanted to highlight or emphasize a little bit more, or have you share a little bit more about how the program with the community outreach has been working out, if there any particular approach that Oceana has been using, because again, emphasizing that social responsibility. Yeah. How can we raise awareness and have our general population understand that it is our responsibility? This reminds me of something referred to as the public good in sociology,
Yeah.
where it's something that's a benefit for us, it's available for us to use, but typically it's not personally belonging to me. And so what happens is that, okay, it doesn't belong to me, so I don't have to take care of it, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm gonna use it,
Yeah.
but it doesn't belong to me, so I don't feel that sense of responsibility. And we want to avoid that, you
Yeah.
know. We want to ensure that people know that it's for your own good, like you mentioned. Our second breath, I didn't know that, you know, comes from our ocean,
ocean, yeah.
and that says a lot. So I wanted to hear about how has the experience been. Like, is there any particular approach where we're trying to buy in that social
Yeah.
responsibility and raise awareness and
Yeah.
consciousness about it?
So our approach is to be consistent at all times. We have our message. We bring across that message to everybody, but to continue that, we have to be consistent. So every day we meet with our partners. Every day we meet with the students. Every day we meet with wave makers. Every day we meet with whoever we got to meet with at Oceana, just to be consistent, keep spreading the word as to why it is important to protect what we are protecting. Like I said, it's very important when it comes to the outreach work, consistency, getting to know the people that you're around, meeting people wherever they are. We talk about consultations. When we have consultations in our country, we usually have it at times where hardly anybody could make it to these consultations. We want when it comes to consultation in our country that it's being done whereby we get the most out of that consultation rather than 5 to 10 people showing up, which will make a decision for everyone. That's the reason why we continue to preach these things every day, consistency, so that when we have these issues where Belizeans have to use their voice, you could actually go out and use your voice. We provided with the information. We've been consistent. We've given you everything that you need to know. Now it's time for you to make whatever choices you want to make. That's where the social justice
Informed decision making.
Yeah.
come in. Yes, because now you get the opportunity to make a decision towards any issue that you feel is concerning to you. That's your social right. That's your democratic right when it comes to our country. So that's what we preach. Oceana, we preach transparency. We want everything to be as transparent as it can be, so that all Belizean people have that information to make whatever informed decision that they have to make. So, like I mentioned again, the environment and social justice is very important. They play an important role together.
And that speaks, that's great, Cleve, because it also brings home the idea that, you know, we say jokingly, right, but touch one, touch all.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Because no matter what's happening, whether it's 50 miles offshore or it's, 50 miles away from Benke, whatever's happening, some way, shape, or form impacts our people. And when we say our people, it's not, faceless strangers, that relative to family, that somebody I gone to school with, that somebody my parents know. We have such a tangible, visible way that we're connecting to each other, and the importance of youth voices, because right now, you guys get I don't want to say a bad rap, but there are people who are counting on you not to show up, or framing it as y'all are too busy, they're on the phone, they're on TikTok, not worry about this, this dismissiveness of, the adults will make the decisions in the room, and you guys can do this. So it's really, to us, part of the team, and Cleon is one of several people on this outreach team, of really saying, look, young people, you all will live the longest with these decisions. You can't just say, okay, we are the future. You have to recognize you are the present. Mm-hmm. But if you don't make your presence felt at that table, in that room, decisions are being made. Whether you're there or not, decisions are being made. So make sure you're there and you're present and you're participating and you're getting your transparency and you're getting your accountability, because these are the decisions that's going to determine the quality of your future.
Definitely.
It's as simple as that.
Definitely.
True, and I think the perfect saying to top it off, the cherry, is like, indifference is the death of humanity. So if we don't care,
Louder.
Yeah.
what's gonna happen?
With that, we'll take our first break and we'll be right back.
For 15 years, Oceana Belize has proudly stood alongside the people of Belize, protecting our marine habitats, safeguarding livelihoods, and ensuring that the beauty of our Caribbean Sea endures for future generations. Together, we've achieved incredible victories, safeguarding habitat from the inherently dangerous and destructive offshore oil development to increasing the use of selective fishing gear to reduce overfishing, advocating for a sustainable future for all Belizeans.
We want to always be able to fish. Oceana listened to us and made sure our voices were heard by the decision makers.
Being a wave maker has shown me the power we have when we come together for something bigger than ourselves.
I am proud to be part of a team of dedicated Belizeans who wholeheartedly believe in the people of Belize and the right to a healthy, thriving ocean.
But our work is far from done. So many challenges confront the Caribbean Sea, from the existential threat of climate change to insidious illegal fishing. Together, we will continue fighting to protect the people, all our way, who depend on the beauty and bounty of our waters. With your support, we look forward to the next 15 years, committed to empowering communities, safeguarding marine ecosystems, and creating a future where both people and special places thrive. We're proud to stand with you for our Belize, land of the free by the Caribbean Sea.
Back to our Wildcat Connect media, and I think Miss Sabito has a question for Miss Chanona.
Yeah, I wanted to touch a little bit about the whole idea of social responsibility. And we know that all these international organizations, you know, they often provide us with a guide, but we know that we make it our own.
Yeah.
We identify our own needs. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the decision and how it is, or just give us a little behind the scenes of how Oceana decides what projects to engage in or support or promote, and just give us that idea of how it actually works.
So I'll let Cleon get into the campaigns and how we generate the campaigns. But just to start off, that's why we're a little different, or a lot different depending on your perspective. But we are Oceana in Belize. So we are a registered Belizean NGO, and that's why I can be the senator, but that's another story. But, and we are all Belizeans. So that is a critical difference, because we do not operate in the way that some of the other NGOs in the space work. Completely Belizean and completely Belizean-led. And what I mean in terms of Belizean-led, not just me and the team, but led by the community. And Clee can talk about how we generate our campaign goals, because we operate as SMART goals. Mm-hmm. So we have specific, measured, time-bound goals that are generated from Belizeans.
Yeah, so working in the community allows us to meet our campaign goals. As I mentioned, you know, meeting with the key players are very important when it comes to achieving our goals at campaign. I mean, at Oceana, if it's a fisheries matter, we meet with the fishermen, you know, get their side. Like I mentioned, find out what some of the issues that they are going through, how Oceana could help, you know, some of these issues. We have the audit coming out with the fishers' response and the fishers' feedback when it comes to the fishing industry. These are areas in San Pedro, Kikaka, you know, the entire country. We meet with fishers to find out these matter. The audit will come out, which will give a huge insight into some of the issues that the fishers are having. The scientific background comes from the scientists that comes in and do the research. That help us to create our campaign goals, what we need to achieve in the end. You know, when these scientists they come in and they put together the whole research, what we can do afterwards to reach our goals, or to get the fishers more involved, or to find some kind of solution when it comes to plastics. These are the ways how we generate our campaign and reach our campaign goals, it all comes down to the research that are needed, whatever matters need to be addressed, and different things like that. So that's how we generate our campaign, and that's how we meet our campaign goals.
And the end goal being, of course, biodiversity, that we have a sea full of everything that it needs to be to, have the integrity of that ecosystem, and abundance, so that we can depend on it. We can, if we're overfishing, then we can't, as fishers, then we can't have that. But really working with the community, scientists here on the ground in Belize, scientists from Belize, because who knows better, our resources and the dynamics of it, and really just coming up with the type of national policies that we can implement in support of sustainable management, and making sure that we can always depend on the sea, that we could always go Dakikaka, Ista, and scientifically it's been proven you absorb these ions, it has a mental health effect. So the benefits and impact of a strong coastal and marine ecosystem, integrity-wise, is numerous.
Awesome. That's really good work that you guys are doing at Oceana, for sure, and we're proud of that work.
Thank you.
So, Senator Chanola, you'll also be our keynote speaker this Thursday at our annual Social Justice Forum, under the same topic, caring for our common home, right? Now, one of the things that you're going to address for sure is economic growth and environmental conservation. How do you match those two? How do they coexist? Because for sure, when we're thinking economic growth, we're thinking about deforestation and all those different things. So how do we coexist, developing economically, but still taking care of our common home?
Well, I think the first thing is to say, yes, we can do that. But I think centrally, there has to be a plan. We have to look, Belize it's a pride and joy that we're small, but as we say in Creole, we're kakatari, right? Like we know what we have. We have the second longest barrier reef in the world. We have the largest cave system. Like we have all these amazing ecosystems. But as we're developing that product, whether it's through tourism or fisheries or extracting water to make sea salt, whatever industry it is, it's being mindful that if we don't develop it in a way that puts the environment first, development won't last. So, and we always talk about the fact that when we created a Department of the Environment, it actually chose that theme as its mission. If we put the environment first, development lasts. And that underpins everything, because as we said at the outset, if the environment is in a position to take care of us, we get to keep relying on these things. We get to keep benefiting from these things. It's a golden goose, right? It's a cycle. But if we over extract and fisheries have collapsed, then we can't depend on those things. Just to give you a quick example, we had a major tourism draw in southern Belize with whale sharks. Tourists used to come just to be able to swim with whale sharks because it was like swimming in an aquarium. And I had the privilege of doing that. But I want others to be able to do that. The whale sharks aren't coming to Belize right now. And there are lots of theories, it's being studied as to why, but we have to think between climate crisis and maybe over extraction, when the fish are spawning in that area, scientifically it's like a big dinner bell, right? And if the bell isn't like donging, then they're like, oh, well, maybe no food at Belize, maybe, So making sure that we're not leaning into this. And I have to say, I consider it bad actors promoting that somehow it's always a choice. We either have the environment and, we hug up the tree and kiss the fish, or we have jobs and we have development. That's a false narrative to me. If we have a plan, then we know how we're developing, where we're developing. We can determine sacred sites that have footprint in that area isn't compromising the area. Bottom line, the environment will figure out how it will continue. We have to be very conscious that if we're not able to get the things we need, fresh water from rain, clean air, food to eat, what does that mean for our existence, and what does that do for our responsibility? And our faith tells us this, to make sure that, yeah, you have the dominion, but you also have a choice in maintaining. You have that freedom, but you have the choice in also making sure that you're respecting the order of things, so that those things can continue to be something that you can rely on, because you need this. And that's where we find God, right? The poets have created, you could see the world in a grain of sand, or imagine, stars in the heavens as all these gifts that God has given us. But everything is this delicate, intricate balance. And the minute we take out, something we're not supposed to, everything kind of falls apart. And who suffers? Ourselves.
Yeah.
I just want to add as well, meeting with fishers, you get a lot of stories. And one of the fishers said was like, we as fishermen, we have to do our best to protect, what we make our bread and butter from. Why? Whenever we take a fish out of the water, we cannot put that fish back in the water. So whenever we take that out, that's gone. There's no, we could plant back this fish, or we could just put it back and make it swim and get bigger. It doesn't work like that. So we have to find a way to do some kind of sustainability. We can't take out 100 fish and expect that when we go back there tomorrow, there's 100 fish there. It doesn't work like that. You remove that 100 fish, that 100 fish is gone. So you have to find a way to balance everything that we do. Whenever we do presentation, I always bring out this scenario. A lot of people are afraid of sharks. A lot of people eat conchs. A lot of people are afraid of stingrays. But the moment you remove the shark, you have an abundance of stingray. And if you have an abundance of stingray, what happens to the conchs? So we eat the conch ceviche, the conch fritters, and different things. The moment you get rid of something, it disrupts, the natural order of life. So we have to find some kind of balance when it comes to us as human beings and the species that lives around them.
Defining that balance is key, because we get these words, it's sustainable, don't worry, it's biodegradable. It's, it's balance. Like, no, we need to dig deeper in that and be like, okay, tell me how,
And I think this calls for that social consciousness, understanding how interconnected we are, like you mentioned earlier, and being fully aware and conscious that our actions have consequences.
Absolutely.
And like you said earlier on, and I keep thinking about it, we keep thinking that our young people are the future, but you are living in the present, and you need for there to be a future, there has to be a present. So calling that awareness that, listen, there's consequences to our actions. We need to be socially aware that we're all interconnected, we all depend on each other, so balance is the key. Balance.
And you know what? Group projects have not changed. So if we're not all doing the work, then one person can't do everything. So we really need to see that we all have a right and a responsibility to be a part of creating the future that we deserve. Not just that we get to survive, but we get to thrive.
Definitely. So what would you tell our students who are watching this podcast today, and are having second thoughts about coming to this forum? How do you encourage them to come to this forum to learn about our environment and how they can play a vital role in caring for our common home?
I think the first thing is to show up. Being there is half the battle, if you will. But it's also taking it on to be informed and then figuring out how you can act where you are and make that difference. Because at the end of the day, you have to look at what you can do. Nobody is coming to do what needs to be done. Nobody's gonna save us. Nobody's waiting to say, oh, poorly Belize, and I could do this for them, man. We got a taste of that with COVID, right? Every man for yourself. And we had to figure out how we were gonna take care of Belize and make sure that we could get through until, things were on a better side medically. So recognizing that we are the only ones that can protect, that can save, and that can design the future that we want. And the chapter is not written. And I'm 47 years old and proud, but I want that the experiences I had diving is one that your great grandchildren can enjoy. I don't want Lisette's family to have to look at a picture and be like, so, how the man at the skin me feel, or how the nurse shirt, me feel, and have to go touch on a piece of sandpaper to get an idea. That is the reality of it, that we still have time, but we don't have all the time in the world.
Definitely.
You need to show up now, because the time for us to act on this is now and together.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I just want to add, we keep sitting around and expecting change. It doesn't work like that. When I was younger, I didn't have half the programs that we have now in Belize. If they had these programs in, I'm pretty sure that I would have been involved in some of these programs. I think the students these days have a lot to participate in, be active, not just sitting around at home having nothing to do. When I was younger, I was a scout. It went from scouting to working with Manantes to now working with Oceana. And that's because I put myself into activities that were happening, just to get that experience. I wasn't a person who likes to be at home. I prefer to be, in the jungle, having a camping experience or something like that, or working with, or helping with Manantes, to understand these animals and why they are protected. Like I said, there's a lot students could get involved with. It's just putting your time is most of the time is volunteer work, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours the most. We're not asking you to be a part of something every single weekend. Whenever you have the time, give that time. Whenever you apply for schooling and later on, you might need some of these same recommendations, some of the same community service hours that we had a cleanup and you didn't want to participate in this cleanup. These things come back because you might reach out to me in the end and be like, Mr. Coleman, you could help me with a reference or something like that. You put in the work and we see the work happening, and we have no problem with providing you with these reference. But there's a lot for students to do, not just to come to school and write in your book.
You have a voice.
Go home.
Yeah.
You have a voice.
Yeah.
Use that voice. Make it as loud as possible. That's one of the things that I like about Oceana, because I have a voice where I could use in my communities, get people active, get people involved with what is happening. So when it comes to the social justice forum, show up. You never know, you might learn something. You get to meet Miss Chanel. You have a conversation. You probably get more inspired to be more of a better person to your community and to people around you.
Well, I feel inspired already. Well, thank you so much, Senator.
Thanks for having us. We really appreciate it. Kudos for this program. This is awesome.
Right? So again, guys, our social justice forum is Thursday, October 3rd. It's going to be at Orlandivar Gymnasium. We're inviting our entire SJC community and alum to come out and to be a part of this wonderful forum. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.